Hi, welcome to a Barmy Army podcast. This is number 28. Tonight I'm joined by Fiona and Iain. Evening, guys. You both okay?
Yeah, doing good.
Good. Nice merchandise there, Fiona. Tonight we're going to be talking about the game on Sunday against Brighton. Possibly, if we get a chance, we'll talk also about the game next Wednesday. So, Brighton, it's a game that we've won more times than not. We've played them 4 times, beat them 3, drawn once. It's an away game for most of us except ref, because it's around the corner. So let's start with the easy question. Is this one of those games that we should win? Forget the squad. Last year we struggled against the lesser teams, no disrespect. So is this one of the games that we should win anyway, considering our record? We'll start with the one furthest away. Go on, Iain. You can have a start first. It's your local team after all.
It's a game we should win. You know, last season we beat them comfortably at home in the league, wasn't it? It was 4-0, I think it was. We then had a tight game in the Conti Cup, which we let them back into. If I remember correctly. Was it? Yes.
2-1.
I think so. Yeah. And then
sorry, just interrupt you. If Jake were here, he would tell you Jane Ross scored in that game. So, he talks about it all the time on every social and every Sunday. Jane Ross scored against Brighton. Now, I didn't know that because I wasn't at that game. So I thank you, Jake, for telling me every week that Jane Ross scored against Brighton. Anyway, back to you, Iain.
And then obviously we had that horrible February, was it Wednesday night in, down here in Crawley, which it was one of those things. We started really well in the first minute and then we were dire for 89 minutes. So it's a game we have to turn up for, and it's a game we have to win. If we are serious to try and break into the top 3, we can't be losing or drawing or dropping any points against a team like Brighton. No disrespect to them.
Right. We'll come on to that point in just a second. Evening, Shane. Evening, John. Evening, Debs. Evening, Torrent. Hey, Namrata. Fiona. Sorry, I have to put it in. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Evening, Jake. Fiona, last season, you were saying that these are the teams that we should beat. These are the teams that we have to beat. So I presume your answer is going to be exactly the same as Iain's.
Yeah, if we want to challenge for top 3, top 4, whatever, at the top of the league, we need to make sure we don't drop points against the teams that are lower than us. And Brighton is one of them. They have a smaller budget than us. We've now got some real good quality players. So it should be the ones that we beat. But like you said, those are the teams that we often struggle against. Whether we're complacent or whether we just think it'll be a bit of a stroll in the park, maybe the players get themselves up for the bigger games. Don't know, but it should be plenty of goals this weekend. Is what we'd hope. What is what you'd expect based on the players in our squad compared with theirs. But you never know how these things are. Hopefully, we've had some time to look back at the Birmingham game and say, okay, this is what went wrong. We were complacent there, and we will rectify this for the next game.
Yeah, John makes a point in the comments which you both have just made. If we want to challenge the top teams, we need to beat Brighton, and he's right. Evening, Tash. So obviously, just changing the subject very quickly, we are on episode 28. On episode 30, it's dedicated to Jane Ross, according to Shane. Just Jane.
Winchell scored a hat trick as well, so Iain will have to pay out.
Hey, I mean, I'm all for that. and Shane can host it. So we're sorted on that one. So we've played 2 games in the league. We've drawn 1, won 1, so we're 4 points. We're 3 points technically better off than we were. Well, no, we're 4 points better off than we were after our first 2. So if we win this one on Sunday in the league against Brighton, we've got that momentum kind of going. But, and there's always a but, we've got a bit of a busy schedule coming up. We've got 3 games in 6 days. And one of the points I wanted to make tonight, and it's going to bring up loads of hashtags of respect the Conti Cup and all of that stuff, is right now on terrestrial TV here in the UK, we've got last season's Women's FA Cup still being played. Now, I know we talked about this, Ian. We've talked about it a lot over when COVID and all of that. And obviously, we've had massive international breaks. We've had a 3-week break. United have had 3 weeks. You came up with a suggestion as being a ref that, in your opinion, that they should have played this competition before the WSL season began, because it's just disrupting everything, because the semi-finals are tonight, but the final's not till November. Do you still stand by that, by saying them doing it this way is just a waste?
Yeah, I do. I think Shane said it as well. You know, it should have been played when we had the opening weekend. You know, you could have done the quarterfinals then. You could have done then the semi-finals midweek. You could have then done the final the following weekend. FA Cup, done. You know, do a Champions League, get it done and out of the way with in a little mini group. Then you can start the league after the international break, which would be this weekend. You know, we could have done the FA Cup, got it out of the way with. They could have a proper pre-season, time to fit games in, and then done the international break and started the season on the first, this weekend. It made sense to me. It obviously hasn't made sense to the FA. They've decided to do it this way. You know, the 3-week break has been good for us as a club. I know it's been good for Casey because it means we can get the new signings settled, get them training under the belts, get them fitter, return those who are injured back into match fitness. I know there's a couple that are still not available, but that kind of great has helped us. But did we really need to start the league and just do 2 games and then break? Probably not. It's not good.
Fiona, do you agree with the FA Cup being played before the season began, or them playing it now? I know it's off subject, but it's just because I switched over before we came on.
It is a bit weird, and yeah, I think it should have just get it out of the way, done and dusted. But I think Casey should use it to her advantage. We had 2 games. You could see what worked and what didn't work. You'd hope you'd still beat Birmingham and, would do what we can against Chelsea. But then we now have 3 weeks to fix any issues. If she saw something wasn't working, they could work on it in training. So I think it should have got it out of the way for the clubs that were still in it. But you have to deal with what you've been given and use it to our advantage. We've now had 3 weeks to focus purely on the Brighton game, give the players a break as well if they want, but know how to play together, get the new players integrated a bit more, get that relationship built up on the right side and the left side, the midfield 3 working together, those kind of things. Yeah, we had a few players off an international break, but the majority of the team were there. But yeah, I know Deb doesn't like it. I don't know, she thinks it's a silly idea as well, and I'm sure there are many fans that think playing last season's FA Cup during this season's FA Cup, it's just silly.
Yeah, I mean, I've made my points about it, and we've spoken about it on the socials on a Sunday, but I just, if the Premier League and the European and the Champions League and the Europa League and all of those could be finished before the start of the new season, I don't understand why the Women's FA Cup couldn't. Now we've had that little rant out of the way from me. Let's get back to Sunday. So, as you both said, we should be. It's one of these teams that we now have to be on a constant, to keep this momentum going. So, I'm not going to ask you for your lineups because I'm not that cruel. Because Fiona has been dreading me asking that, and Iain's had to change his team about 5 or 6 times, and he's played everything different.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, so do I, to be fair, because it's the same as mine. So there's no idea. I think actually we might be against each other in league lineup this weekend as well, which is it. So it's a point. We've both got a point. So we're sorted there. But with that in mind, we've got, like I said before, we've got 3 games in 6 days. Are you expecting to see the squad being rotated now between Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday next week? And with that in mind, I know it's a question that everyone's going to put in the comments, and it's a question that I know Fiona is waiting for, but we won't know till Sunday, till 11 o'clock. Will Tobin and Kristen be starting, or will they be coming off the bench? But I'm going to say my little bit first. For me personally, they don't start. Whereas I'm looking at Fiona, and she's probably going, you're right, they're not starting. Whereas the ref, Iain, he's probably thinking they might start. So let's go to the sensible. Let's go to Fiona first. So squad rotation, would you expect to see a lot of changes between Saturday and Wednesday?
Sunday and Wednesday? So for example, if Amy Turner plays, I don't expect her to play all 3 games. There'll be 1 or 2. I expect there's a few other players that need some minutes, and Liverpool are in a lower league, so I think that might play into Casey's thinking a little bit. I wouldn't expect to see like the men where you change 10 players, for example, or change the whole squad. But I think there'll be a few players, that are swapped around, maybe to bring some freshness in, maybe to try out some new things. I expect it to be the same core, though. I'm thinking Lucy Standingforth might get some minutes. The Americans might start midweek, maybe, to give them 45, 60 minutes. Depending on injuries, maybe Ivana comes on at some point or starts midweek compared with Sunday. I expect Sunday will be our stronger team, and most of those players will start midweek, but there'll be a bit of rotation going on. We've got a bigger squad this year than last year, and we need to use that to our advantage, because 6 days for 3 games is quite a lot. So, Casey needs to be sensible. I'm sure she'll make the right decisions for the players to deal with the situation.
Just before I come to Iain, just going through some of the comments, Namrata makes a very sensible point, and I agree completely. The FA Cup ended back in January when United went out. Couldn't agree more. Before I forget, hi Tash, I have seen it, and I forgot to say hello before. Very rude of me. Shane said about the FA Cup, it's only being played because it's a landmark edition of the competition. John thinks it's a stupid idea that they're still playing the season's FA Cup. And Jake says something about Carla Ward and having such a small squad. So that's all the FA Cup. Right, Iain. Right. Now, you and I have spoken on the social, and you've got about 4 teams you think you could start with on Sunday. You've got one with Heath and Press in it. You've got obviously one without Heath and Press in it. Then you've got one with each of them starting. Hand on heart, right this minute, at 7:15, do you think either of them were going to start? because Jake says one to start, one off the bench, and John Fry goes both off the bench.
Off the bench.
So you're now saying neither to start.
Neither to start.
Okay.
That is what I'm feeling. That's the gut feeling is neither to start.
Right now, but obviously that's going to change between now and Sunday.
Probably not.
Ooh, controversial.
No, I'm pretty set on my starting 11.
Okay, so in that being said, are you then starting them on Wednesday against Liverpool?
I would probably start one of them and bring the other one off the bench.
Okay. Now I'm going to be completely controversial here on this, and I'm going to
the following week.
I'm going to be completely controversial. I'm not going to start either on Sunday. I've already stated that fact. I'm not even going to start either on Wednesday because of that pitch at Tranmere. Because it's currently raining now, and we know what a bit of rain can do to that pitch.
They got it redone. It looked very nice when they had it redone.
It looked very green last time I did it.
Yeah, it looked lovely in the summer. It's raining now, so that pitch has now become a mud bath. So I'm not starting either of them on Sunday or Wednesday, but I will be starting them against Alex Morgan's Tottenham Hotspur now, because that's what I'm now calling them on the following week. So Iain and Fiona, back to the. So let's go through Sunday first. So are you both saying we're going to win? That's the first question. Okay, and you're both saying by lots of goals.
Hopefully, yeah.
Three.
Yeah.
You're saying 3 goals.
3 or 4 is what I'd hope.
Okay, let's just bring in the other point of this right now. Am I correct in saying Brighton haven't conceded a goal yet?
Correct.
So you're saying that we're going to score 3 against a defence that hasn't conceded anything yet?
But they played a Birmingham City side that had hardly played together in their opening game of the season. Then they played Man City, who, let's be honest, haven't started the season well. If it hadn't been for Villa gifting them 2 goals at Villa Park on the opening day of the season, that was a 0-0 draw for City because they created nothing. And, City are still trying to get into their new system. And I'll be brutally honest, I don't expect them to do so anytime soon because they just look like a bunch of individuals.
Okay. Would you agree with that, Fiona?
Yeah, and I think our team this season, our strength is going to be going forward. So I'd expect our players to be full of confidence going forward. Hansen, Russo, Tooney, Jackie, they all look great and look like they're creating chances, and our players looking like they're going to finish them as well. So I'm not concerned about us not being able to score against them. I imagine there'll be 2 lines of players in front of their goal, and it's not going to be easy. But I think once we've got the first goal, then they have no reason to defend. Then we'll score goals for fun kind of situation. It'll be getting that first goal. That's what will be difficult.
Namrata actually says this is a very similar point to you in the comments, Fiona. She says off the bench, so Heath and Press will come off the bench. Unless you're enhancing in form right now, they should start. They're in my league lineup, both of those 2. They start for me. John says fitness might be a problem with the girls. Possibly. Wednesday, he reckons Kristen will start. He then says we're going to win by 3. So it looks like it's a popular score. Shane, obviously, wrong one. Shane says they haven't conceded in the league. Blues got 2 in the cup. Jake said last season told me not to be too optimistic, still I predict 2-0. And John is very emphatic to say Russo will score on Sunday, I reckon. But then Jake says this, and this sounds silly, but I think we have to prioritise the Liverpool game. Yes, they got relegated, but they have held us to a draw in pre-season and frustrated us for a lot of the game last year. Now, Ian, you and I were both at Crawley. Well, I travelled up to Crawley. You turned the corner. That game was a little bit frustrating. It wasn't the greatest of performance. I think we'll admit that. I even think Casey said the performance wasn't anywhere near her standards. They have Birmingham, Brighton do seem to frustrate us. That one game the away game last season, we weren't playing well. We didn't have Leah, we didn't have Kirsty Hansen, and we weren't scoring a lot of goals, and we were coming through that rough patch in the early year. So, do you agree with Jake that we should now prioritise the Liverpool game over Brighton?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. At the end of the day, I always think Casey wants to win a trophy, but the league is always going to be the tournament that is always prioritised over a cup competition. If you have to prioritise something over something, the league is always going to win out. Because if we drop 2 points against Brighton and we miss out on a Champions League place by 1 point, we're then looking, where did we drop points?
Yeah.
And then look, it was Brighton in October where we prioritised Liverpool in the Conti Cup, where we got the semi-final stage again and got knocked out, as an example. Every game should be treated on its merits. It's a league game. We want 3 points. So for me, it's the game on Sunday will be Casey's priority, and she will play the team she thinks will beat Brighton. My gut feeling is there won't be much of a change from the lineup against Birmingham. There will be a change or two from what I think, but on Wednesday we've got a couple of days off. So have Liverpool. Liverpool are playing as well this weekend. It's not that Liverpool aren't playing this weekend or next weekend, because they are. So there will be changes on the Wednesday, but I think there won't be as many changes as people think.
On Wednesday, you don't think there'll be as many? Okay, we'll come back to that point. It's very interesting. Fiona, do you agree with what Jake said? We need to prioritise the Conti games?
I don't think so. I think based on the squad we've got, we don't need to necessarily prioritise one over the other. We've got more than just 11 great players. We now have a full squad of great players, and changing 1 or 2 players for Sunday and then bringing maybe 2 or 3 changes, maybe even 4 for the Wednesday, I still think we'd have a strong squad. And I think Casey wants to win every game. That's her competitiveness. She'll want to win every game. If she had to prioritise something, I agree with Ian, it would be the league. But I'm thinking, because in the Conti, it doesn't really matter how well you do against the lowest team in the group, which I predict to be Liverpool based on who else is in our group. So, I don't think Casey will let the squad think that we're prioritising Brighton over Liverpool either. And she will make sure that the team that goes out on Wednesday is their chance to prove themselves, carry on building that momentum, but winning every game will be her focus.
Yeah, I mean, John said, no, shouldn't prioritise Liverpool. Jake, then I'm bringing those unpopular opinions as always. It's not unpopular, Jake, it's just a different opinion. But then John kind of says a cup run is good to the team, but points win things for us, and that's the point you made, Ian. Torren, with the depth in our squad this season, we can prioritise all 3 games in those 6 days. Namrata, great chance for us to move ahead of City in the league before November fixtures. City have got Chelsea and Spurs in October. And Jake says, I'm not prioritising it based on competition. I generally think Liverpool pose a bigger threat of the 2 teams. Who wants to pick up that point?
I don't mind. So I think Brighton will be a harder. I think they'll be very sound defensively, and that will make it a challenge. Whereas I think Liverpool will have to make sure our defence, are up for it, so we don't concede. I still think we'd outscore them, whatever happens. But yeah, I see Liverpool having a little bit more threat than Brighton going forward. But they got relegated, and Brighton didn't. So in theory, Brighton should be the stronger team. Liverpool have lost players. Brighton have brought in a few from America as well. So I think they both pose a challenge that the club should be able to meet.
Yeah, I mean, John says in the comments, Brighton struggle to score goals. That's their problem. Ian, as John says, Brighton struggle to score. We've conceded a few more goals than we had done by this point of the season last year. So if they're struggling to score, we're struggling to keep clean sheets, which we know Casey says if you can keep a clean sheet, it's almost as good as a victory sometimes. So, how do I put this? Do you think the back 4 will be a different back 4 from the team that started against Birmingham in the last game we played? To give us a more defensive, stability.
Yeah. I fear for Abby Mack because she got heaved off against Birmingham.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she just seemed to be the weak link. So I would say she probably doesn't start Sunday. Amy T does, but then Amy T will not start Wednesday because we know she can't play back-to-back games. She's got to protect that. I know she had obviously that really bad knee injury that she's obviously she's over it, but we'd still protect her. So yeah, I think Amy T probably starts on Sunday. Abby Mack will start Wednesday, and then all depends on what Casey thinks for the following Saturday. But yeah, I think that's where the change will be at the back. I have no issue with keeping Honor in. Mill looked so much better when she played for England in the 2 games. The Mill we know that she is. I think she just had a slow start to the season, so I think Mill is fine. And then right back is a case of how it fit. What's Casey's fitting in. So I think we'll keep Kirsty Smith in at right back.
Okay. Now, because you said before, Ian, that you don't expect there to be many changes between the team that starts on Sunday to the team that starts on Wednesday. So before we get back, I take it one of your changes might be the goalkeeper on Wednesday.
No.
Really?
I would keep Marion on
Fiona?
Wednesday.
Mary would start for me against Liverpool as well.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I'm the only one then who thinks she might be rested for that game. Clearly. Then your back 4. We don't know how long Martha's out for. So if you're starting Amy Turner on Sunday, that means you're playing Abby on Wednesday. So Millie's playing on. I take it Millie's starting for you both on Sunday.
Yes.
Right. So Millie's playing Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday next week. Now, like I said, we know Martha. We don't know how long Martha's out. So, have you got your 3 defenders who start on Sunday, starting on Wednesday and the Saturday as well? Then, without giving names away. So, okay, I'll do it. Millie, Honor, and Kirsty Smith. They're starting Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday.
I don't think you've got much choice other than
that. That's the point. That's the thing I'm trying to...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe would you consider risking Lotta on Wednesday? Knowing that the rest of your defence should be solid, changing one... Well, it wouldn't be changing one, it would be changing 2 of your defence, but you'd think the rest of the defence should be more solid. I don't know if you'd want to risk Lotta for that.
Funny enough, I was thinking exactly what John's just put in the comments. Swap on Wednesday. Right. We would have I would swap onto the right and put Lotta on the left.
I was going to get to that because there's quite a few comments coming in while we've been talking about this. Jake said, it's funny, we talk about teams who supposedly can't score, but then we concede some silly goals. Birmingham is a good example. Shane goes the other way. He would prefer Amy to start on Wednesday just for some crunching tackles.
I wouldn't be against it. I know who the referee is on Wednesday, and I don't think I want her to play.
Okay. Well, Paul Rambo, according to Jake, they both. John agrees with both of you. Rambo starts. Namrata again against Liverpool. She knows how to keep it quiet. And as you said, Ian, Honor at right back, Lotta at left back on Wednesday. So, are all the changes then that you're going to say are going to be happening in front of the back 4?
Most likely, so there might be a change. Just there might be one change in the back 4.
Right. You know what? Let's cut down to brass tacks then, Ian. Let's cut this down. Right. Okay. On Sunday, I know for a fact that you think Alicia Russo is going to start.
Yes.
Fiona, you would agree with that, correct?
100%, yeah.
Okay. So, if the Americans aren't at full fitness yet, you know where I'm going with this, Ian. And Jake, you know where I'm going with this as well. Does Jane Ross start for you then against Liverpool?
No.
So who starts up front for you then on Wednesday?
Alicia or Ivana.
See, Fiona's shaking her head because I knew Fiona would go Jane on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, because then if it's not working, you can bring Russo off the bench. Or you can bring Kristen on, or whoever you want to bring off the bench. But no, Jane Ross getting that hat trick.
There's a lot of love for Jane in these comments. Obviously, Jane Ross has got to start at least one of those 3, surely. John said no. And then Jake's just gone with a boo.
I think Russo has to start on Sunday because because Brighton will go so defensively. I think Russo will be the one that'll be able to break it down, whereas Jane won't.
No. It's her pace. It's the pace of Alessia is going to cause Brighton no end of troubles because there's not a lot of pace in that Brighton backline. I said that on social on Sunday. I say it again now. There is hardly any pace in that Brighton backline. So if they want to play, a high pressing game, one ball over the top from Jackie or something like that, unless you're in behind them, they're toast. They are.
So, with that now being, let's get back to Sunday. Let's get the WSL game first. So you both say we're going to win. Fiona's saying there's going to be quite a few goals in it. Ian's saying 3 and not concede. Is this one of those games on Sunday where if we don't score in the first half, we don't need to panic, Fiona? Do you know what I mean? If it's not going our way, do we not there's no need to panic and push everyone forward. Do we just need to keep it calm and play our game, kind of thing?
Yeah, and don't be too worried. Things aren't happening. Look at who we've got on the bench. If we need to change something up, we can change it. Katie proved she's not scared of making a halftime substitution. So if for whatever reason, I don't know, Leo or Kirsty or Alessia, something's not working against whichever Brighton player they're playing against, we've got some great players to bring off the bench that can change it up. Their defense might be a bit tired. Get somebody quick on. Yeah, there's no need to panic. There's no need to. But I also think we don't need to play casually. Last year we looked like we wanted to pass the ball into the net sometimes. We don't need to go don't be that relaxed about the situation. But yeah.
Iain, obviously we don't know the lineup yet. We're not going to know that till an hour before on Sunday. Obviously, the news of Katie having been tested positive for COVID, she was quarantined. I believe she came out of the quarantine Friday or at the weekend, I think. Can you see that her starting on Sunday?
I've not seen any evidence that she's actually trained this week.
Okay.
So the footage that United put out yesterday, I don't know when they filmed it, but I didn't see Katie in it.
Okay.
So my gut feeling is that's where another one of the changes are this weekend is in midfield, because I don't think she starts. If she is available, she would be on the bench, because we don't know what COVID did to her. By the sounds of it, by the looks of it, she was doing things in her room. She did that puzzle, and she seemed to be high spirits as well from what she did post on social media, which was a lot. But yeah, I can't see her coming straight back in. I think she'll probably be given time to get her fitness back, because she would have lost some fitness being isolated in her room. Being stuck in a room for 10, 14 days. It's on a professional athlete, not moving or doing exercise a lot will have hurt her. So if she's available, she'll be on the bench for me.
So this is coming directly to Fiona. Fiona, last year, you and we spoke numerous times. And one of the things that you and I always discussed was at home, we don't necessarily always need to play a defensive midfielder in Hayley Ladd. No disrespect to Hayley, but at home, we should play with a bit more movement and everything else. Is Hayley starting for you on Sunday, number one?
Yeah.
Okay. She is for me as well, so we're all right there. So, are you, in your vast knowledge of tactics and all of those things, are you playing two holding midfielders the way we usually line up, or are you playing just Hayley and then everyone in front of Hayley can play their game normally?
I'd be going Hayley, Jackie, and then Tooney. And I want Jackie to be playing in the role that we've seen her this season, so giving that freedom. Against Brighton, I don't think we need to be concerned about having two defensive midfielders, but we saw against Birmingham having Hayley there made our defence a bit more stable, but also the players then in front of our defence, they weren't too concerned about having to track back. They felt like they could express themselves going forward because they've got Hayley to rely on. So I think Hayley will still have to be that defensive midfielder, but I don't expect that from Jackie.
Okay. Just going through a few of the comments. Namrata says, from the training video, seems long-term, Pressett as a number 9 and Alicia on the right wing. John said, look how much Russo closed down Birmingham on the Sunday. Yeah, she was very, I thought she was very good on the debut. He also says, apart from our defence, we can change tactics easily with our attacking options. He then says, no Katie on Sunday. It will be a straight swap Hayley for Katie. And Jake says, I want to see a debut for Lucy on Sunday. I've been waiting long enough. I know, Jake. It's going to happen, we know. And Lucy will be on Wednesday. I presume that's supposed to be Wednesday, I reckon. And Jake says, yeah, don't change your winning formula. So Namrata made a point of it from that video that United released of the girls' training. We don't, as Ian said, we don't know when that was filmed. Kristen is a number 9 and Alicia on the right. So if that happens, that means Kirsty Hansen isn't going to play there, potentially. So where does that leave Kirsty Hansen for a start? And then where do you play Tobin in that as well? I like these. I'm giving these such easy questions, which they're flying off. Ian.
I'm going to be honest. I'm concerned for Kirsty because her position has so much competition in it now. You know, we've seen what she's done this season. She's had a really good, she had a really good end to last season. She's had a really good start to this season. And when you bring in a Tobin Heath, it's, oh, hang on. That's where I play type thing. However, that video, Tobin was playing on the left, which I don't think is her natural position. I honestly thought she was. I didn't think she played across the width of the pitch. I just thought she was centre and right. If I'm honest, I didn't think she played on the left. But if she does play on the left, then you could play Kirsty on the right if that game suits her, or Alessia. So the person that could also be in trouble here is Leah. And she hasn't had a good start to the season, unfortunately.
So, right. This is now bringing it back, and Jake's made this exact point that I was going to make as well. Alicia is a striker. Let's play her in her natural position and not what we did with Jess. Because, Fiona, you were the biggest critic of that, is that you had, okay, except when Kirsty was injured, you had a fit Kirsty Hansen and a fit Jess Sigsworth, yet somehow Jess played on the right and Kirsty didn't make the team. And I think a lot of United fans were, why? We don't understand that. You got a natural striker, player in her natural position. So do you want Alicia to play in her natural position as a goal? I know we've got a plethora of strikers now. We got, in this whole conversation tonight, in the 40-odd minutes we've been on, none of us have mentioned LJ in this. Oh. Not one of us. And it seems, LJ's our biggest talent by a mile. And none of us have said, well, do you reckon LJ might start on Wednesday? Oh. Because you've got LJ, you've got Kristen, you've got Alessia, you've got Jane Ross, you've got Jess. We think she's struggling with an injury. So you've got we've all sat here the whole night, and not one person in the comments has mentioned.
She's on a bike still.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, or getting parking tickets.
Yeah, on a birthday.
On a birthday. So, does that now change, Ian, in your head, your lineup for Wednesday? Because we know LJ's training. Does LJ make the... Okay, so I'll ask you both. Does LJ make the bench on Sunday?
Yes. Heck, she might even start.
I go with on the bench, don't see her starting.
Okay, right. I'm sticking to on that. I think that maybe the bench. So let's now jump ahead.
She comes on, yeah.
Right, let's now jump ahead to the Wednesday. Ian, you've already said Alicia starts. I'm going to give you one chance now. Yeah, do you want to take that back and reconsider?
Do you know what? I don't know how I forgot LJ. It's probably because we've not seen her for so long, and you keep forgetting. But you also have to remember we can make this the 5 substitute rule now as well. So
James made that exact point in the.
Yeah. See, great minds think alike, Shane. Great minds.
Shane wouldn't say you two have got great minds because you like applesauce, and we're just. I can't even go there tonight with that.
But do you know what? We've seen the impact LJ can do off the bench, and she did it against. She did it against Liverpool last season as well, didn't she? She came off the bench in that league game last season, didn't she?
Yeah.
So, you could bring LJ on against the Liverpool or against the Brighton, be the impact player you needed to do. I always feel we get more out of her as a substitute than a starter. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that, but I always think her best performances have always been off the bench.
Okay. Torrin, I agree with Torrin, and I know Fiona probably agrees with Torrin as well, because these are great minds, not applesauce boy here. Shane says, I can say that because he can't kick you out of this chat. Yeah, but I can kick him out, Shane. You're forgetting that bit. But Shane does make the point. I know he says we can make the 5 subs, so it's a lot easier now for others to make the bench. But Deborah makes, I think, a bigger point on all of this, which is we can now have a full bench because we've struggled to fill the bench up. I think was it Birmingham? We could only have, I think we only named 5 or 6 on the bench, and Chelsea, I think it was the same. Was it 4?
I think it was 4 we had about Chelsea.
I think we had 5. Birmingham had less.
Yeah, Birmingham like 3, didn't they, on the bench? They were really struggling for numbers.
So we've all forgotten about LJ, who before Kristen and Tobin arrived on the scene, we'd all been going, well, LJ starts. It would have been the first thing that comes into our mind. And now, all of a sudden, we've gone Kristen, Alicia, then LJ. It's that kind of thing. But Jake does ask this question, and it's a great question to ask. Where does Ivana fit all of this? She needs to develop as a young player. Can any of you see her going out on loan later in the season? Fiona, she is your G. Where does Ivana fit into this?
Yeah, so when we signed her, that was definitely a more long-term signing. I'm not expecting players we've got from America. So then I would probably expect to get a bit more game time. I imagine she'd be a great impact sub for us this season, and she might start some of the game. But yeah, we have so much depth going forward. I think she can play in a few different positions. She's quick as well, so getting onto those through balls over the top, those kind of thing, similar to we know that Alessia can do as well. It'll be interesting. Maybe in January, there might be a loan opportunity for her for the rest of the season, depending on how things go. And I don't think for her dropping down to the Championship, like we've seen other people on the day, I don't think that would be too big of an issue. I think for her it's getting that regular game time. But yeah, I can't see her forcing Russo, Press, or Heath out of the team very easily.
John makes a point that I think everyone kind of says, to me, LJ is not a number 9. She's more of a number 10 and to flit around. Deborah says Ivana may get time in the devs, and it all depends on injuries and during the season who plays where, and I agree with that. So what we've all kind of agreed on is that we're gonna beat Brighton comfortably, not concede any. Well, according to him, we're not going to concede. I hope we don't concede. But I think we're now getting into one of those situations of if you score one, we will probably score two with our attacking options. The three of us forgot LJ in this whole conversation tonight, which is astounding. And we're going to win on Sunday. What we're going to do? We're going to win on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep. Ian was thinking about that one long and hard, and then we've got Tottenham away, which whoever's on the podcast next week they can talk about it. Now, Marta does ask the question. We don't even know where Ivana plays yet. We know she's coming as a striker, but Fiona, you obviously know a bit about her. So, and you said she can play out on the side, on the wings, can't she?
Yeah, the things I've seen, it looks like she can play there as well. Which then makes it interesting if she can play on both sides. Could we see players switching side during the game? Like United used to do for the men,
Okay.
A bit.
Yeah. John said we're going to win 3-1 on Wednesday. And yes, Deborah, we did. I called it the Alex Morgan Spurs side. No, so there's the cheap plug for Alex Morgan Spurs side. And Namrata makes the point we need to win matches like this on our own way to our domestic treble. I don't want. Do we want a treble straight away? Yeah, why not? But then that's a whole other hostel hotel argument, and there's no point getting
Hotel.
I said hotel first. Hostel, really. Actually, you can play Tobin in the midfield, which, although she's listed for, is where she's played lots of times. Now, you see, I never thought of that, and we've only got a few minutes left on this. Sunday, we're going to play our strongest 11. I think we agree that it might not have the Americans in, but the strongest 11 that we played against, probably Birmingham. Jackie with a free roll, I think.
There's a typo in that.
Yeah, that's because there's a typo in that.
Yeah, there is. I'm not getting involved. Okay. Then on Wednesday, you're both saying there's going to be some changes, but not a lot of trouble. Don't, because Nat's going to want that now. I'm going to have to get that. We're going to have to buy that flag now, aren't we? Right. So
I think 4 or 5 changes for Wednesday.
You roughly the same?
Yeah, 3 or 4, like 3 definite ones, maybe a few more.
Jake says, I can't wait to play against Alex Morgan. Will it be the best day in our history? Can't wait to see close-ups of her for at least 85 minutes of the game, which is exactly why I support United. It was wrong on BBC. It was just, you might as well have just had the camera fixed on her for the whole game on Sunday. Namrata very simply has just done 3 cups. I'm not even going to start on that one. I'm not even going to go there because it'll just cause argument. If you want to have that conversation, start it on Twitter.
I'm not going there on that. No way.
And then Shane asks, who's Alex Morgan? Shane, in answer to your question, yeah, I was just going to say she works with Deborah in Deborah's school.
Yeah.
Bottle of water.
Yeah, right. So we're going to win on Wednesday, on Sunday. We're going to win on Wednesday. The problem is with Wednesday is that currently, as it stands, coming up to 8 o'clock, we don't know if this game is going to be shown live. So I know the hashtags are going to start reappearing on Twitter of Respect the Conti Cup and all of that. We don't know the reasons why the game's been moved to a Wednesday at 2:00. I presume, I think people have said it on Twitter and social media, it's player welfare, playing Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. It gives them more time to rest. I think you made the point on the social on Sunday, Ian. Alex Morgan versus school staff. I like the odds. Well, you never know. And as it, lo and behold, from Jake, you have respect the Conti Cup. So within the next 6 days, are you expecting 9 points? Is it, Ian? We can get 3 points in the Conti for a win, and then
I was gonna say it's yeah. You've got to remember though with I was gonna say they still do in the Conti Cup. If it's a draw, it's apparently shootout for an extra point. Or is that just
not me?
I can't remember if that's a Conti Cup thing or if that's a.
That was the Conti Cup rules. I don't know if it's still the rules.
I will need to check that. But yeah, because you also got to remember that the results against each player, each team in the group is also going to be taken into consideration for the second place. Everybody who finishes top in the Conti Cup group goes into the quarterfinals, and then the best 2 runners up, and then the best 2 runners up is based on results against the other teams in the group who didn't finish bottom. So
ref.
There you go. I was right.
That won't matter because we'll win the game anyway.
Yeah. So I would say,
and Casey for manager there.
Yeah.
There we go. Done.
If we don't get 9 out of 9, I would be disappointed. But it would not surprise me if it was 7 out of 9. I said that is what it is. But is that still the case? I'm not sure. I thought because it's the same rule in the Carabao Cup here, isn't it?
Hang on. Whoa. 7 out of 9. So where are we dropping points? Tottenham. Then. Because you said we're going to beat Brighton. You said we're going to beat Liverpool. So you're saying we're dropping points. You're saying we're dropping points against.
I want 9 out of 9, but it wouldn't surprise me if points were dropped somewhere. I don't know where. It could be Liverpool. It could be Brighton. It could be Tottenham. I want 9 out of 9. But I would be. It wouldn't surprise me if points were dropped somewhere.
What about 7 points and 7 points in a Jane Ross hat trick? Would that make you happy, Ian?
I mean, sold. I'm there. I'll take that. I'm sure Jane will as well.
Even better if it's 9 points in a Jane Ross hat trick. That's the best.
Applesauce in the bin. That might be trending by the end of the night on Twitter. Who knows? Oh no, here it is. Hashtag ban applesauce. Hashtag respect the Conti Cup. Yeah. Jake says, remember we were all professional on the podcast. Now it's all applesauce and Jane Ross jokes. I think you'll find that the only I think Fiona and I, Jake, are sticking up for Jane Ross here. It's Ian who doesn't want to part with his 20 quid.
I've gladly separated myself with 20 quid if she scores a hat trick, but I'm going to be honest with you. With the striking talent we now have, I just don't see where she fits in.
So I
really do, but I just don't see where she fits in now.
According to Shane, Jane Ross is greater than applesauce.
That doesn't require much, though, does it, Shane?
I didn't say that.
And by the way, on it, Shane, they're going to get this trending soon. So now that we've all remembered LJ, does LJ start on Wednesday instead of Jane Ross, Fiona?
I don't see her playing as a striker this season. If she's taken anybody's position, it'll be Tooney for me. But Tooney's been playing well, so LJ will have to really up her game in training.
Okay. Shane says 2 hat tricks equals £20 plus a month ban on consuming applesauce. But then, to be fair, Jake does say LJ and Jane, everyone's happy then, because Jake does like a 4-4-2 formation. And then Deborah obviously ups it. Jane Ross equals top scorer lifetime ban from applesauce, Ian. Or you can have Jane's version of over 10 goals, applesauce ban until the 21-22 season.
Oh, no.
Hey, these are the things. I'm gonna kind of wrap it up now before it gets a little bit out of hand and we all start eating applesauce or something weird like that. So let's get back to the basics of the conversation. We all think we're going to beat Brighton. Well, me and Fiona do. Ian thinks we'll beat Brighton. He then said we were going to beat Liverpool, but now he's not so sure. But then we might not beat Tottenham. But if we don't beat Tottenham, we'll beat Liverpool. Something like that. Whereas Fiona and I are going for a clean sweep, 3 across the board, without conceding, scoring lots of goals and without conceding too many. I want to thank you both for coming on. Thanks, because I know the first team are playing, so I know you both probably want to watch that. So I want to thank you both for coming on. The podcast will be back next week, reviewing the 2 games. And just before we go, Shane says, beat Brighton, beat Scouters, beat Alex Morgan Spurs. Agreed. John, we're going to win our next 3 games easily. I mean, easily is a bit of a... it's.
I'm going to go there.
Yeah. Shane then makes up a winner, no applesauce on your dinner. I mean, Shane, that's just brilliant. Torren, Sunday 3-1, Wednesday 4-0, Saturday 2-1, and Deborah again. We win it all, we win the lot, we're Man United and we're never going to stop. And that's exactly the way we'll end it tonight. We're never going to stop and we will win it all. Thanks for everyone who watched, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.